going on, everybody? It's Big T with GreenWallSt.com, back with another video. And quick note before we get started in today's video, we are now running our annual Black Friday sale. 30% off monthly memberships, $100 off the yearly membership, and $100 off of the Green Wall Street Pro extended course. I will leave a link in the description below if you are interested in learning about trading and trading alongside me every single day. Definitely check it out. And without further ado, we are hopping right into some live trades. Okay, so we're actually going to be looking at two trades that happen simultaneously at the same time. We're going to be trading both ASTS and ENSC on the screens, and these trades, I forget what the date was, like November 14th was the time of this recording. So just kind of walk through my trade plans going into it. Similar setups on both stocks, right? So you got the stocks that popped in the morning. Pre-market started to overextend, but after they overextended, they started to become weak. They started to break down and sellers started to show up. So my plan was, once the market opened, I wanted to go ahead and start shorting bounces in the stock. So the stock bounces back into some of that pre-market resistance. I start scaling in short and looking to fade it back down. And that was the plan, keeping it pretty simple. And we'll kind of walk through what happened. So ENSC starting to get to kind of that zone that I like to short at, and I start in some there. I think the key on these morning setups really is, it's a timing issue. A lot of people just work into things with their full size way too fast because people are so worried about, I want to get my full size on every trade, and I want to make sure that, if I short something or go long something, and I want to go long, 5,000 shares, I better have 5,000 shares on. But it's really hard to get full size on every single trade because things, they bounce around a lot, and they're not always going to set up exactly how you want them to. Sometimes they will if you're patient enough, but a lot of times you have to work into something and give it a little bit of wiggle room and scale into a trade a little bit slower in order to actually put the trade on. So ENSC, I'm giving it room to go to 240. I'm giving it room to go to 250. I'm giving it room to go to 260 if it wants. And if it just dies from here, maybe I can add lower and fade it that way and tighten up my stop. But right now, I don't want to get too aggressive and blow my whole load at 230. So we'll go ahead and speed through this a little bit. Stock continues to bounce, so you can see the volume coming in at the bottom there. I hope, yes, you can. My camera's not in the way. And at that point, I start adding more, and the stock continues to go higher. So at this point, I have a 234 average, it looks like, and the stock's trading at 245. But I'm continuing to add more as it gets into the levels that I really want to short, which is kind of this 240 to 260 area. So I add a bit more. You couldn't even see it, but I added more at the same spot, which now brings me to a 240 average. And now I've got, a decent amount of shares. I still have more that I can add, but I've added all that I want to at this point in the trade. And obviously, if we break over those 270, 280 highs, that is where I would stop out. But we didn't end up doing that. So this was like the real critical part of the trade. And what's been happening over the last couple of months is, volume has kind of died off, as of the time of this recording, November 23rd. Things have heated back up pretty significantly over the last couple of weeks. But, for a bit there, whenever you got that initial move on the stock you were trading, you really needed to take it. And I probably should have been quicker instead of waiting for, 210 or 2 on this. If I get that initial flush down into the mid 220s, I should have been sizing down some. And just playing a little bit safer, just considering how stocks had been trading like leading up to this point. Like the people that were just getting in there and scalping a little bit more were actually being rewarded more, and waiting for the higher time frame, the bigger moves, just wasn't really working. And so I probably could have did a better job at that. Still sitting with a 240 average. Stock is starting to chop, right around my average, but at this point, you got to be comfortable. This is why I tell people it's better to trade smaller size that you're comfortable with, because you're always going to be in a trade and it's gonna wiggle. It's like riding a bull. You know what I mean? It's not just going to go straight to your target. So you have to be in a size that you're like truly comfortable trading with, and you can see it bounce around, and you can be up 10 cents and then you give it back without fucking freaking out, or you go down 10 cents and you're not freaking out and stopping out prematurely. You have to build in that wiggle room within every trade, and you can only do that if you're truly comfortable with the real risk of the trade, which in this is much higher than 240 or 250 or even 260. So still sitting in it, decent gain. Now, actually, the stock on the left is now setting up. So again, waiting for that same type of bounce. You can see I wasn't chasing it lower. I wasn't entering prematurely. I waited for the levels that I wanted to short, which is over VWAP. And that's when I started into the trade. So as people and late shorts are kind of getting exhausted out and getting cleared out, that's where I just want to be getting in to the trade. And so that's where I shorted. And I think ASTS ended up working pretty easily. Like from here, you're just going to see it fade off, and it was just, it was just a good trade. ENSC was a little bit more difficult. And the reason I wanted to show these both at the same time is how I manage trades that work immediately and how I manage trades that are a little bit more difficult, because you're always going to have ones that are harder than others. So ENSC, my plan was I wanted to see exactly what happened with ASTS, which you'll see here shortly. But the fact that, we're running through this pretty quickly, but like from the time I entered ENSC, it has now been over 20 minutes of this thing pulling back to VWAP and trying to break out and failing and pulling back to VWAP and holding. And it's just been holding right there. And that's kind of my signal that I need to change what's happening here, because the situation has changed. I wanted it to pop through VWAP and fail. Instead, it's popping through VWAP, it's pulling back, and now it's holding. It's holding VWAP for 20 minutes, 25 minutes. These things happen like over, a pretty good period of time. So as it starts to do that, I no longer need to be in full size. The stock has shown me that it pulled back and it's holding some levels of support. So I don't want to be out entirely, because again, my full risk on the trade is all the way up to like 270. So I don't want to prematurely stop out on everything. But I think at a certain point here, I do end up covering half my position. So I had 4,000 shares short. I end up covering 2,000 of those shares. And I'm trying to find the point. Okay, there's the point where I actually do it. And you can see me taking some screenshots. I cover some of ASTS. Again, like I said, that one just kind of worked perfectly. It just failed. And that's what I wanted to see here, right? That would be the equivalent of ENSC falling to like, 220 or 210 right off the rip, and I would cover some. Not all of it, but again, because ENSC, I've given it, one chance to break down, 2 chances to break down, 3 chances to break down, 4 chances to break down, and it's still not doing it, I size down. There's no need for me at that point to still be full size into the trade, but I do still want to be involved because, my full risk hasn't been hit yet. And you can see why I don't like stopping out on full size, because where they stopped me, where all that volume came in, literally was the top of the stock. And I end up putting back on some covers from ASTS. So I cover it to be safe, just in case that's the bottom. And then as we prove that it's staying heavy and it wants to continue lower, I just put those shares right back on. And ASTS ends up going red back on the day. And I cover, I don't know if that was all of it there. I think I cover a little bit more at 860, or maybe I'm all out. So probably some premature covers on that. And then finally, ENSC gives me the original move that I was looking for, which sucks because, now I'm only in 2,000 shares instead of 4,000. So I make half the amount that I could have made. But at the same time, I stayed safe, right? I stayed safe and lived to trade another day. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. So, neither of these trades are like super big home runs. On the day, that put me up $1,130. Which was a pretty good day considering, how slow the market has been, and ASTS was a good portion of that. But that's kind of how I think about easy trades versus more difficult trades and how to manage them in the moment. You kind of have to react to what's going on. It's not like crystal clear all the time. You get in with a particular idea about what you think a stock is going to do, And then as it confirms what you think, you can either add more, or if it doesn't confirm what you think, you can size down, right? And you have to adjust on the fly and be able to like be really flexible and understand that if your idea is wrong, you didn't necessarily do anything wrong, and you need to just immediately cut that idea and move on to the next one. I'm just trying to enter stocks at high probability times and take those opportunities. And if it doesn't work, I don't get pissed about it. You know what I mean? I just cut it and that's it. And live to fight another trade. It's not a single trade that's gonna like make or break your career, but it's how you manage the next 100 trades, next 1,000 trades. That's really going to, determine whether or not you're a profitable trader. So that is kind of how I think about it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video and hopefully that helps out a bit. I hope everybody's having a good time trading and in the markets. Once again, Black Friday sale is now live. Link in the description below. 30% off monthly, 100 off the yearly memberships, and $100 off of the extended pro course as well. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I will catch you right back here next time. Peace out, everybody.